Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. I call to order this regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls City School District Board of Education. Ms. Stoico, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Here.
Thank you. Item B is approve the agenda. Number one is a motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended the Board of Education approves the agenda of the July 8th, 2026 Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education, adoption of consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless the member of the Board of Education, Treasurer, or Superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Thank you. Item C is our opening ceremony. Number one is informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of protecting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction on the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, they must notify the superintendent and/or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by announcement of their name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen, and for your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda may be found on the table by the sign-in book. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is Wednesday, August 5th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. here in the 612 Campus Performing Arts Center Auditorium. Now for our pledge and welcome, Mr. Harris.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City School District, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity.
Okay. Brings us to item D, presentations. First up is our Friend of Education Award. I'd like to invite up Dr. Selico.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Good evening. It's my pleasure to be able to tell you about the person that we've nominated for our Friend of Education Award. And just for those of you who may not be familiar with what that award stands for, our Board of Education looks to nominate a few people, either individuals or organizations each year, that have made great contributions to our district and of which we're extremely grateful for what they have done for our students, whether it's volunteering through time or donations. And so we are happy to announce a winner this evening. And so if, bear with me for just 1 minute. I think I'll have you, Laura DiCola, if you can come forward. I'll read about you as you stand here. So this is Laura DiCola. She's representing the GAR Foundation. So partnerships, I'm going to have you stand here as I read. Okay. Partnerships are what makes school districts thrive. It bridges the gap between what our budget allows and what our students truly deserve. Today, I would like to recognize a partner that has consistently filled the gap for our educators and our children, the GAR Foundation. Today, we have Laura DiColo, their Senior Program Officer for Education, representing them. This year alone, the foundation has provided our district with an incredible $52,980 in grant funding. Because of this year's funding, our teachers are being handed the keys to innovate without boundaries. It means cutting-edge classroom technology, advanced STEM resources, and creative learning materials that ignite curiosity. These funds relieve the pressure on our educators, allowing them to bring their most impactful teaching ideas to life without having to worry about budget constraints. To truly understand the depth of this commitment, we have to look at the bigger picture. True dedication isn't a one-time gesture. It is a sustained promise. Over the course of our partnership with the foundation, we've awarded our district, as I mentioned, just the 1 year total, but over time, a staggering $671,901 in lifetime funding. That is well more than $500,000 invested directly into the future of our community. That is hundreds of classrooms transformed, thousands of lesson plans elevated, and generations of students whose minds and futures have been shaped by their generosity. To the leadership and team at the GAR Foundation, thank you for believing in our vision, for championing our teachers, and most importantly, for investing in our students. We are truly grateful for your continued support. Please join me in another round of applause. And we'll get a picture? Yes. Oh, who? Would the board like to join? It's your award. Come on over.
Maybe we go kind of up against that stage wall there.
Okay.
Would be great. Mr. Harris, can you come on the other side? Yes. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you.
I just want to say on behalf of the GAR Foundation that we're really humbled to receive the award, but the real award winners are these educators who day in and day out live the mission of Cuyahoga Falls Schools, every student, every day, every opportunity, and we're privileged just to be able to give a little bit of support and a little bit of space to allow them to bring their innovative ideas and best practices to life for the benefit of all the students. So thank you very much for the recognition. We're very grateful for it.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to invite up Mr. Johnson, our athletic director, for our spring athlete recognition.
Good evening. Before I begin, I would like to thank the Board of Education and Dr. Selko for giving me the opportunity to recognize these outstanding student athletes and celebrate their accomplishments today. Tonight, we are proud to recognize several of our exceptional student athletes for their achievements during the spring season. The first person I'd like to bring up is junior baseball player Braylon Davis. Braylon earned first team All-Suburban League honors for the second consecutive year, and Braylon was also named honorable mention All-Northeast Ohio District in baseball this year. Let's give a congratulations to Braylon Davis. Our next athlete is softball sophomore Ava Waite. Ava, like Braylon, was named first team All-Suburban League, and she also was named first team All-Northeast Ohio District. Sophomore Ava Waite.
Wow.
Great job. Our next three athletes are all track and field athletes. Our first one is junior Elizabeth Taylor. Unfortunately, Elizabeth is on vacation this week and is out of town, but I do want to talk a little bit about Elizabeth. Elizabeth was named first team All-Suburban League. She won the shot put title in track and field, our first Suburban League outright champion in an event since I can remember. So it's quite an honor to win the shot put title. She was also named All-Northeast Ohio District and qualified for the regional meet. So let's give a hand for Elizabeth Taylor. Our next athlete is senior Violet Gray. Violet concluded an outstanding career by earning first team All-Northeast Ohio District, All-Region, and was a state qualifier this year in the long jump. Violet placed 17th in the state, and Violet also is our long jump record holder for Cuyahoga Falls with a jump of 17 feet 8 inches. So she holds our school record. We're going to miss Violet. She's done some great things here at Cuyahoga Falls. Congratulations, Violet Gray. And our last honoree is sophomore Ethan Johnson. Ethan usually is faster than how he walked up here, so. Ethan had an exceptional season. He earned first team All Northeast Ohio District, first team All Region. He was first team All Ohio. He placed 7th in the state in the 800-meter run. His time in the 800-meter run this year was 153.9. The school record was set in 1968, 153.5. So he has a goal set ahead of him, not only chasing the school record, but chasing a state championship. Sophomore Ethan Johnson. While all these athletes have exceeded in athletic competition, they also have separated themselves in the classroom. Braylon, Elizabeth, Violet, and Ethan were all recognized as Suburban League Scholar athletes, while Violet and Ethan also earned the prestigious academic All-Ohio honor. I would also like to point out during the 25-26 school year, Cuyahoga Falls had 4 OHSAA state qualifiers across the athletic programs. This is the most qualifiers I can remember in a single year. It's a testament to the hard work of our student athletes, coaches, and support they receive from families, teachers, administrators of Cuyahoga Falls. On behalf of the athletic department, thank you to the Board of Education and Dr. Selko for the continued support of our student athletes and our athletic programs. Please join me in congratulating our outstanding young men and women for representing Cuyahoga Falls with an excellence in both in and out of the classroom. And if you guys could come back up real quick for a picture.
And I don't know if you caught that. It's not a coincidence that Ethan's last name is Johnson, and Mr. Johnson, that is his son, so.
Oh. Yeah, if you could hold it like around your waistline.
We don't give them the award.
You
They're on
could
their
all
phone.
take a step this way. The light is a little bit better over here. All right, 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you. Congratulations.
Now I'd like to invite up Mr. Newland and Mr. McIntosh, our Fresh Farm team, to talk about the large grant that they received and what the exciting work they're going to do with it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steve McIntosh, and this is Steve Newland.
Good evening, everybody.
We want to thank the board and Dr. Selico for all the support that they've given us over the years. So today, we're going to just give you a little overview of our program in case you're unfamiliar with it, and then we're going to talk about the $100,000 grant that we just received and all the cool things we're going to buy with it and all the food we're going to grow for children in need. So with that, we can head to the next slide. So service and stewardship is what this program is all about. This is how we started, and this has been our guiding light. We want to make sure that no child goes hungry here at Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, and we want to teach them the principles and foundations of sustainable agriculture while we're serving our community. So back in 2018, Mr. Newland and I were teaching an adaptive current events class, and we did a lesson on food insecurity. And instead of just teaching about it, we thought it would be important to show our students the benefits of getting involved. So we wrote a $15,000 GAR Educator Initiative grant. We were awarded it, and we started the CFHS Fresh Farm out behind the football stadium along 6th Street. So that was back in 2018, and it was just a volunteer organization. We'd have students come in on the weekends or stay after school, and it was a real grassroots effort. Community members would show up and help, and it was just a beautiful thing, and we started to get some momentum. So coming out of COVID, we decided to turn it into a social studies elective. So we started Intro to Urban Agriculture, teaching students about food insecurity, how to grow their own food, how to preserve it, how to cook it, the health benefits of both eating healthy food and gardening, and everything in between. And the first year we had it, over 100 some odd kids requested it. And for a class that you don't need to have for graduation, it's kind of a big deal. So we knew we had something important going on. So we kept expanding that. We added the Cuyahoga Falls Learning Garden Network, which is another GAR-funded initiative, and that was to provide economic and physical support to all the other learning gardens throughout the district. At our peak, 8 of the 9 schools had learning gardens, which we were really proud of. Our high school students would go to the elementary and middle schools and help them out, and we still publish a quarterly newsletter every season. And then in 2023, we started our career tech program where we prepare kids for careers in agriculture, environmental sciences, and related fields. So in our courses, we teach animal and plant science, foundations of sustainable ag, business management for ag, and greenhouse and nursery management, in addition to our 2 sections of urban agriculture. And a little bit about our program, what we do all day long. We have our fresh farm, which is our garden, which now is behind right kind of where we are, that way. So if you, when you're leaving, make sure you drive by and check it out. We do hydroponics, thanks to all the support of the community and the board and the district. We have a brand new greenhouse. We have chickens, we grow mushrooms, we compost. We get out in the community and do community service where we take most of our food as good neighbors in the falls. They've been with us since day one, so we're really proud of that partnership. And then, like we said earlier, we prepare our students for college or careers. So just a little bragging. Since 2018, we've donated over 17,000 pounds of food to people in need right here in Cuyahoga Falls. 2,000 to 3,000 pounds annually is what we're growing. Thanks to this new grant, we're going to be expanding that. Since we started, about 600 students have participated, and every year we have about 100 new students that get involved in our program in one way or another. Another thing Mr. Newland and I are super proud of is our CTE2 students. These are our seniors. Almost half of them had jobs in ag or a related field last year before they graduated high school, which we're really, really proud of. We compost, so we take food out of our cafeteria or food scraps out of our cafeteria. Instead of throwing it in the dumpster, we put it to good use, and we try to host as many community events as possible. I want to thank all of our community partners. They're up there. Please go support them. Some of them have been with us from the beginning. Some of them are new. Many of our students work at these places. They have hosted us for fundraising opportunities and all that good stuff. So all of these people, please go out and support them. And one more little brag. These are all the different colleges where former students of ours have gone or are going next year for agriculture, environmental sciences, or related fields. So a nice, well-rounded mix up there. So the moment we were waiting for seemingly ever, waiting to get that call, and on the last day of school, the phone rang. And Mr. Newland was actually out of the room right now when I was taking the call. I felt so bad. I was shouting in the hall, like, come on, get down here. We got this money. So AEF, they work with financial institutions in the area, and each year they give out 2 $100,000 grants for a specific cause. This year was to combat childhood food insecurity. So Steve's buddy was part of that board, so he kind of let us know about it. And then we wrote the grant together, we presented, and we were awarded $100,000 for our program, which we're just so excited about. And there's the big check. We never got to hold a big check before, so if you want to see it, it's in room 1006. You can take a picture with it if you want. So this is how we're going to spend that $100,000, and yes, we will be able to spend it very quickly. So the first thing that we're going to buy is a flex acre, all right? The photo, that's an AI image. Obviously, it's not down there just yet, but that is a 9-foot by 9-foot hydroponic grow wall where we can grow 1,200 pounds of lettuce annually. So that's going to be able to go right into the cafeteria and right into the refrigerators of students of Cuyahoga Falls City Schools. And it'll showcase our program, it'll showcase what hydroponics are, and how cool healthy eating can be. We're also going to buy some Flex Farm Grow Towers. These are hydroponic systems that our students use daily. They earn industry credentials by using these, and they grow vertically, so they save a lot of space. Back at the old building, anytime there was an empty classroom, Steve and I would just take it over and put hydroponic equipment in it. We can't do that here, so we got to grow vertically. So we're going to buy a bunch of those. And then at the side of the garden, outside of the fence, we're going to build a high tunnel. And what that will allow us to do is start our growing season earlier and keep it going longer. So if you guys are shopping at any farmer's market in the area and you're buying tomatoes or cucumbers right now, they were grown in a high tunnel like this more than likely. So this is industry standard equipment, so our students will be better prepared for careers in ag once they graduate, and it will expand our growing capacity. We also grow microgreens, which are the starts of the plant. They're very flavorful, very nutritious. If you go to Black Dog Baking Company, you can get our microgreens on your sandwich. We sell 1.5 pounds to them every week. So that will be able to go home with some students as well for a nice nutritious topping for their salads or sandwiches. We're going to get a vermiflow compost system, so it uses worms to eat up any food scraps. The worms poop, and that is the best fertilizer you're ever going to need. We're also going to buy a BCS tractor. This is another piece of industry standard equipment. You can put a bunch of attachments on it and teach students how to use it. We have $5,000 for education opportunities. As some of you may know, Mr. Newland and I like to take our students on as many field trips as we possibly can. We feel like that's a fantastic way for students to learn by getting out there. So that will support some of those trips as well. And then we'll be able to buy bulk, a lot of supplies and tools that we'll need for the next 20 to 50 years that we're doing this, or however long we're teaching. So we'll be all set. So that is how we're spending the money. And it will allow us to increase our growing capacity, bring in more students into our program, and get the community involved as well. So again, we just want to thank you all for supporting our program, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to email myself or Mr. Newland, and we'd be happy to have a chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to number 4, strategic plan update. Dr. Selico.
Thank you, and thank you both for coming. I know they have Mr. Newland and Mr. McIntosh, they have a parent meeting this evening, so I know we squeezed you in, and we appreciate you being succinct and providing us with great information. I have talked to these two gentlemen many times this year, right? And do you remember my last words ever? Like,
Yes, don't ask me for another thing again.
you got it. That's right. And I said, he probably did this out of spite. He's like, hey, I don't need any more money. We're going to get $100,000. So your measly $30,000 that you gave me. No, I'm kidding. No, we worked very closely on many things that sheds and greenhouse we got to get to come to fruition, our fencing and all sorts of things. So they just do great work, and I'm happy to support their goals. So thank you, gentlemen, both for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is a true story. I said, Steve, that's your last favor. I know. One more call. Okay. So I've been asked by the board to provide a strategic plan update. So this will be a group effort. I'm just going to provide you with a little brief history.
Do you have things to?
I do not. No, I don't. So I was going to provide you with a brief update, and actually, who's that? Where's Ryan? You're doing that? Okay, great. Where we began and where we are now, and then what our future work holds. So just for those who are learning for the first time, our strategic plan, we began the conversations at a board retreat, working around our goals, and the board gave us some direction in what were areas of importance for all of us and the district moving forward. And we ended on 3 main areas, and we came up with our cute little CFS, and you'll hear about each one of those goal areas this evening. So once you gave us that direction, we worked together as an administrative team to support the board's vision by establishing committees, and we looked at visions, objectives, and action steps, and then went to work from there and came up with those 3 areas, filled in each one for each area, had discussions about them, brought them to cabinet, we discussed as a group, and then we landed on some areas, made some tweaks, and then those were then subsequently presented to the different committees that were formed from there, and they'll tell you about each of their committees and who's comprised of each of those. And then we created the strategic plan monitoring sheet. We call it different things, Gantt, I call it the progress monitoring sheet. But we'll click on that just real quickly. Just to give you an idea, again, I know the board has seen this document. It's similar to what we did last year, but this keeps us on pace and to measure, measure each one of our goals and action steps to see where we're on track and where we might not be and what we need to continue working. So there you'll see the action step, who's assigned to it. Again, we have people who are responsible for each one of those steps. We have the outcomes, how will we measure it? So we wanted to keep things measurable. And then what our time frame is. So again, some of the things will not be completed. This is a 4-year plan, so the goal is not to just work through it really quickly and check off the boxes and be done in a year. This is going to evolve over time, and that's what you'll see here. That's why you'll see some things in red, yellow, green that just coincide with done, still in progress, or not started. And then just notes that we keep to keep us on track, or things that are relevant. And at one time we discussed a budget because we are running into we ran into our first little issue about budgeting and what the group would like to see, and maybe we didn't fund it, and so we've got to really figure out how we can commit to funding our goals and while balancing a struggling budget. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. You'll probably hear a little bit more of that this evening from Ms. Stoykoy in her goal area. We discussed it today. So that's the overview, and what I've asked each one of our members to do is to present a little bit. We met and we talked about each one of their goal areas and what they'll be presenting to you this evening. So we'll start, I believe, with Mr. Elder with Culture of Caring.
We are the C, so I'm going to be up here about hour and a half. Heard it. I had to be brief. It's not necessarily my strong suit, I suppose. Just kind of a refresher with the vision of our culture of caring. It really is for all our Black Tigers to feel connected and belong to the school community. In doing so, we want to make sure that each person finds their purpose and to allow them to achieve personal and professional goals that promote internal and external growth. So just the overview of that goal, I think, was kind of important for us to just remind everybody about. In terms of our committee profile, we have a total of 20 members, and we are recruiting. We are looking to grow. We are looking to grow those members, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. We have 2 community members, 1 board member, and 16 district staff members. I know there's going to be some changes with people kind of moving on and doing different things this year. What we decided to do is we decided to break our committee into 4 subgroups. And outside of the committee meetings that we've actually had 4 committee meetings this year. Each subcommittee meets outside of that, and we use that large group meeting to do a lot of kind of connecting and sharing and connecting those goals and objectives to each other. So, so essentially, we've kind of done this presentation just in May. So our milestones, I'm going to go by objectives because it's kind of, the objectives are broken down based on what subcommittee is there. So as you all know, the Black Tiger Family Center is up and running. We're in year 2. One of the things that is really of note is the number of families and students that have been served with the sustainable things that the Black Tiger Family Center offers. So this year alone, well over 300 families and over 800 students have found some use from items at the Black Tiger Family Center. And as you all know, Holly Merkel, we just talked about a grant, but she is the queen of working with the committee to find ways to sustain that Black Tiger Family Center through grants, donations, and people just being able to offer time. So we're in a good spot with the Family Center. In terms of the care teams, that's student focused. There's a little connection between what we do with our care teams and MTSS. You'll hear about that later on. But each school has an established care team that's kind of comprised of a multi-phased team that looks at attendance, behavior, academics, and essentially uses that information to help provide a tiered level of support for our students. So we want to make sure that students are receiving the services and supports that they need, not just about the academics, but looking at all of that and trying to help provide some support where students need it the most. And then in terms of our attendance, as you know, Becca Miller, our attendance liaison, she has done a great job of working with the Cleveland Browns with our Stay in the Game campaign, our positive attendance campaign. And while that's only a portion of what her role is in terms of attendance, one of the things that we can honestly say is that we have seen an improvement in our attendance over the past several years. To put that in perspective, in 2023, our district chronic absenteeism rate was 30.6%. As of today, it is down to 23.1%. Comparing that to the state averages, in the same year, 2020, state average was 30.2, and we are now under the state average, which is about almost 24%. So we're making some strides in terms of getting people to school every day and staying in school all day.
Are we on track in the attendance goal that's in the strategic plan?
We are above, and well, technically below the way I have it set up in our, but yes, we are better than what we need in terms of our decrease or increase by the percentage annually. So we're doing well in that area. In our objective 2, we talked about safety and security. And as you can see, you know, with opening this new campus, there was a lot of things with security that went into it. There's a comprehensive security plan that had to be developed with this new building. Each school has a comprehensive security plan. We continue to work on our best practices for security. I know Mr. Gesford is another one who is good at seeking grants and using money for that. We have, every school has an established threat assessment team that looks at students' threat assessments. We do it through a variety of different ways. And just to add to, we started with 3 subcommittees. We've actually added Mr. Gesford as a 4th subcommittee leader to work on security, and so that's one of the reasons why we're actively recruiting, because we added another subcommittee to this. That work seems to connect directly with what we're already doing. And our objective 3 is kind of 2 components. So the objective 3 portion of this goal is community, and we've also kind of added staff to that. So that's that 3rd and 4th subcommittee. Our community, which is led by Christine Stewart, and our staff, which I lead and work with quite a few folks on there. So our community, as you can see, we've established the empowerment team. We're doing some surveys. Ms. Stewart has sent out a few surveys. Most recently, May, we sent out a survey. And we are making some strides to be accessible digitally. So we've had some discussion around that. And we are establishing some pretty substantive family engagement opportunities throughout the year. One of the things that we talked about in some of our subcommittee and our large committee is the fact that we have a lot of different opportunities for parents to be engaged through what's happening in the buildings. So we have decided to kind of take an inventory of the things that we're doing to help try to support not only our students, but our staff and our families, what the buildings do, working with PTAs and other parent organizations throughout the district. So we're really kind of take a look at that and trying to hear what families and parents are saying, not just by a direct survey, a cold survey, but even during those engagement opportunities. So that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about moving forward. And so the other part of that is the staff. And so, as you may or may not know, there's been a district wellness committee that's pretty much been established for the last 15 years. It's been around, it's been thriving, it's had ups and downs and changes in staff. But this year, we've folded it into what we're doing for the culture of caring, because we do want to make sure that we are focusing on, our staff needs as well. So some of the things that we've seen this year is we've established a Tuesday Wellness Minute, which is an email blast that's sent out by Peggy Whitcomb every Tuesday, and it offers just some, helpful tips, insights, offers, opportunities, including the most recent, which was, some discounted memberships to the YMCA, the local YMCA. Starting in January, the committee delivered snack carts to every building. And the snack carts were designed to have healthy, and to be honest, some unhealthy snacks, just, as a pick-me-up. So that snack cart's in the staff lounges, staff can go, grab a snack, and there's a variety. Peggy and I were talking today, and I said, I look at the snack cart in our lounge, and some days it's full, and I come back a couple days later, and it's pretty well empty. But it's something that isn't being paid for by the district. It is done through a grant. In that grant, we use that grant to monthly restock those. And as you know, the Wellness Expo that took place here on campus was a huge success. There were over 50 vendors and programs that came for our staff to enjoy. But the idea behind it was offering that community-based support that potentially could be utilized by any one of our staff. There was even an opportunity for them to visit with the insurance provider to talk more specifically about their individual needs for their individual insurances. Sometimes we don't always know all the benefits that our insurance offers. So that was the whole point of some of the parts of that Wellness Expo. Great reviews of that Wellness Expo, especially the Gaga for goats and all the other animals that were here, including the lunch that was provided and served by the administrators of the district. Any questions? Oh, we're still going, I forgot.
I think also this committee could take on helping Chef Bill with the annual Thanksgiving lunch as well. It'd be a good tie-in.
Well, the Chef Bill is on our committee.
Yeah, so I think supporting him with that.
So after a couple meetings, he paid me a direct visit with his suggestions. And so I've asked Chef Bill to be a little bit more vocal in terms of those things too. So I'll mention that to him.
I think that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Just tie that in.
This might have been an extra
I
slide.
feel like,
I think we talked about it and then forgot to get,
yeah, I don't feel like we
There's
needed that.
nothing.
I mean, I kind of said that there. So the one thing to know about when you look at whether it's the progress monitoring sheet or Gantt sheet, whatever we want to call it, the majority of the things that are on our list will always be in progress. We will always be looking to improve security. We will always be looking to improve how we support our students and our families in the community. So those will always be in progress. So in year one, that was a goal of mine as the facilitator of the group, is to kind of establish for year two some discussion about how we really truly can measure the progress of the things that we're doing. Improving our systems, with how we monitor our students, improving our systems and how we get communication from our families and the other communication, the other community members, and the same, with our students. Those are things that we have to figure out how to measure. But does anyone have any questions, any thoughts, anything that you'd like for me to take back to the committee?
I'm just gonna add, I'm on this subcommittee and on this committee, and I'm on Ms. Stewart's subcommittee for the community engagement team. And one of the conversations we've had really good conversations, one of which was around the idea that our idea of engagement isn't to take away from anything that's happening that's successful in any of our buildings. We're not discouraging anything stop happening. That was a really important conversation. But there's also, I think, an idea that fun and academics are separated, and that doesn't have to be. So we had some conversation about how we can integrate those two things, because we do keep seeing in survey results how parents want to know how better to support their students' learning, but they don't understand what kids are learning these days, because it's not what any of us learned when we were in school. It's so different. And so how we can tie those two things together so they can convince their kid to come to this event, but then they can get, as a parent, the value that they want out of it. So we've had really productive conversations, but we saw the need for the event that we put on this year instead to meet that particular need with redistricting. So.
How do you work with the PTOs, or how have you engaged with them?
So that was in the tail end meetings, that was part of the conversation, because we were trying to take the inventory of how we provide, what supports are around and what supports that people can gather. And so that's going to be one of the next phases, is not trying to take away from the PTA, PTOs and those parent groups, but how to make sure that we connect the partnership, offer, communication. One of the things that we saw as a challenge was there was a lot out there, but how do you get that information to people so that they can actually utilize it and see it, and including, those parent groups like PTO, PTA.
I think it's a great, speaking as a PTO parent, ours is very active, but we all get stretched thin, so I think we can support each other. We can help you implement some goals that you have, and well, I'm speaking as a parent now from that perspective. And you can help us when we feel burnout, or we don't have ideas of what to do, or we don't know how to reach parents. So I think that could be a really positive step.
Absolutely. Well, no, but because you're not at the podium, so.
She has a strong voice, they'll hear her.
One of the things that we did when we designed that family welcome night is we definitely reached out to our community empowerment team, reached out to the PTO groups, because we knew they wanted to make connections with the new families coming in. And so we asked them, are you able to provide a little snack or a refreshment for the families? And would you like to have a table so you have a chance to meet family and make new connections? And every building had a representative of a parent organization there, so.
And Richardson asked if they could reschedule their end of school event to that night after it, so that they could then invite those families to come to it, which was really, really sweet. And a lot of the families did then stay and attend that. So it was really, really sweet to see that, and kids starting to talk to other kids. It was really wonderful. But that is like, I'm just sincere Silver Lake PTO mom, like the back to school event that Silver Lake puts on. So often the kids are out playing, the parents are all in one area. What an opportunity that would be for us to then maybe engage the parents.
Yes.
Because there are certain events where it's the parents and the kids doing stuff. Those are not going to be things where we're going to try to engage parents, because that's parents and kids doing stuff together. But like an event like that where we know from history the kids are just playing, the parents are all standing there talking anyway. That's an event where maybe we have an opportunity to engage parents with information that we know they might be seeking.
Right. And we can standardize as well across all, each elementary school has its own flavor and culture, but we also want to make sure that we are standardizing some of the things we need them to
And
know.
that was one of the things, the feedback that I got from the principals, who were very overwhelmed at the end of the year, and they gave me feedback that they appreciated kind of like the packaged presentation that I provided for them for the welcome back. 'Cause I did the slide deck and I gave them the template and kind of the order of the ideas of things that they could discuss. So they just had to plug in and personalize it, and that way they weren't starting from scratch, which is always the hard part. So they had something to work with, and then they could tweak it, and they were very appreciative of that. So that's definitely something that we can.
It would be a great way for Mrs. Bird to do a deep dive into our K-5 curriculum if she had to do like a brief presentation on this is what kids learn in kindergarten, first grade. You know, things are kind of coming together here. Because the things she'll need to learn as well, because she'll start getting peppered with questions.
That's true.
So it might all work out. Not that I'm committing people to things, because it's not our place to do that, but just ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now we're going to, oh, she's right there.
Right here. This is the hottest committee there is, guys. I'm just beating people off with a stick. There's no room.
It's been in the red a lot.
I just say, people banging down the door. Patty is right there every time. She's like, please let me in your meeting.
Facilitate.
So our vision for the facilitating our financial future is as the hub of our community, we will manage operational resources with financial transparency and responsibility to provide a safe and cost-effective environment that enriches student success and promotes positive growth while fostering strong partnerships. So we have two objectives. So our committee is made up of 13 total members. We have 3 community members and 10 staff members. And we do not have any subcommittees just because they're not, some of the work is not necessarily in this.
And you
for the
don't have a
committee.
board member, even though there's 3 board members not on a committee. Just
I know.
throwing that out there.
Hey,
Mrs. Schaefer, Mr. Harris, and Mrs. Zimmer.
and everyone is leaving me that is from like cabinet, they're leaving.
Ms.
Allie
White-
was on
Ms.
this, Joe's
To
on
her,
this.
to her defense, Ms. White's already on a committee.
It was your spider box that spooked her.
Yeah. So our first objective, ensure the continuous development and maintenance of facilities and infrastructure that provide for the academic, artistic, and athletic needs of present and future students in alignment with resources that guide our strategic plan. So our biggest focus has been, this is basically what a lot of our committee meetings are made up of, is talking about getting this assessment done, basically a capital assessment of our buildings. And so the last meeting, although I was unable to attend it, Abby from GPD came in and presented her plan. She had originally presented one that was a little more complex, and then we kind of asked her to like scope it down a little bit to kind of get within our price range. And so she did. So we agreed to move forward. So nothing official has happened yet. But we are scheduled to have them come out and start working on that. We are not having them at this point do the new buildings or anything like that. They're gonna do, the existing buildings that we are not intending on selling and will continue to use until, another time. So that's the big focus of this, objective, basically, is really looking at our infrastructure and coming up with kind of a plan, the difficult thing is obviously the plan like that costs money, and I know the district has been in those situations before which is what the emergency levy plan has kind of remedied, is that in financial situations where you can't keep up with the repairs and maintenance that you probably should be doing because of the cost, so then things get behind, then you try to catch up, and then you're back again, and it's kind of a cycle. So we're trying to be a little more proactive and at least prioritize, some of these things. We'll get a whole review and then be able to prioritize like what financially, what is gonna have to happen, what we would like to happen, those kinds of things, So Once we get that back, I assume we will meet with her again at one of our committee meetings and that.
I think it is a good time though, because with the amount of the millions, tens of millions of dollars we've spent on capital maintenance in the last 8 years,
Yes.
we're in the best position we've
Yes,
been in probably 30 plus years.
yes, yeah,
So it's a good time to assess and kind of understand
yeah.
the playing field.
And then our second objective is really more of promoting financial stewardship, transparency, and accountability by maximizing systems and resources to ensure all financial activities support the district's mission and strategic goals. So this one, we have a little bit more active, finalized. If you go to the next one, yeah, of things that we have started within the school year or received. So part of it, I think one of the goals was to, kind of look at the impact that this section has on the entire strategic plan and how we can incorporate all of these goals within our budgeting and things like that, which is kind of the basis as well for zero-based budgeting, which we do and continue to do. And that is part of kind of that instruction manual handbook is looking, kind of consulting the strategic plan. Some of them want to do things that we can't do. But as you heard, that's obviously a key piece of these other categories because although we have our own separate, financials touching the other two as well in their different initiatives. So some of the things that in the past year that have happened that kind of promote the transparency and kind of the professional development in a sense for both staff and community is we've started the Finance Fridays on social media, just giving little tidbits, and we also send that out on Parent Square, and then there's a dedicated web page. We've gotten good feedback on that, and I think make some people angry, but in a good way, hopefully, that will get them, up and going and paying attention to who they're voting for when it comes time this fall. We annually do an annual comprehensive financial report. Again, that's not something that's required. It's more of a comprehensive report than just your standard audit. And so we're not required to do that, but it does provide more transparency, more information, more of a background. There's a little narrative section to it. We did that for last fiscal year, and we'll begin our one for next year based on fiscal 26 here soon. And then we did receive for that reporting the Auditor of State with Distinction, the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and the ASBO Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting all last year because of that comprehensive financial report that we did. Looking at this has probably been a little bit more, like I said, active. There's a little bit more things. Looking forward to hopefully next year and getting maybe a little bit more in front of the staff and doing that was part of it. Professional development. This is also kind of hindered by finances as well. One of our goals is to kind of put out like a financial prospectus or a quality profile, if you will. I don't know that we'll be able to actually physically mail that out, but I think we're going to move forward with at least a digital version and perhaps, sending it on Parent Square and those kinds of things, or posting it to social media, which kind of some highlights from like the last fiscal year 26, that include both accomplishments and more of a visual look at that annual comprehensive financial report where we kind of list some bullet points of each building and each department of things they accomplished, whether it be the state qualifiers, things like that, things our students are achieving, and looking at, kind of where our money is going, what we're spending it on, and kind of what you're getting for that as far as, how much square footage are we taking care of each day? How many miles are we driving each day? How many lunches are being served? And just kind of putting that more together in just those little things so people can kind of see it and really look at what it takes to run and the cost it takes to run the district and how much truly is being done on a daily basis, and what that cost is to a taxpayer is really, it's kind of powerful to see it like that. And so I'm hoping that we can get that out this fall sometime, once school comes back in. And it may be something that we are able to have at, like at conferences or, something just there that if people want to take a copy without having to go through the mailing of everything, but, and perhaps putting a smaller version of it in one of our roars, in the coming time. So that's what we're looking at, but we're gonna continue to do, all of these things. Finance Fridays, if anybody has any, and we're getting towards the end of our original, ideas. I think I have a few more, but if there's anything, that you're hearing or you think needs debunked or would be interesting to know, or, things like that, please feel free to, let me know, because, we've kind of gone through the big things now, and those things will be, changing, and come January, we'll start the new state budget process, and there'll be a lot of things to kind of educate and inform, as far as that goes, but, it is definitely, if you have anything, let me know if you're, like, oh, I keep getting this question, or things like that. We've also asked that of the committee and of our community members that, to please.
Well, the reappraisals are about to go out.
Correct.
They're just getting certified. Well, actually, they just got certified.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good one to
Yep,
do.
that is a good one.
I'm also wondering if we should shift, when we make that shift, or if or when we make that shift to like levy information, right? Like in our, would that be?
Once we approve the statement of fact.
Yeah, because then we could probably start talking about that in the Finance Fridays.
Yeah, I was planning on, if we could piece out that kind of the statement of facts and.
But I think, the changes to the reappraisal
Yes.
too, so like then, we did about inside millage, but with the reappraisals coming out, people are gonna be thinking about that again, and the capping and all that, so.
Yes, yeah. I can't imagine being in a district where they actually were on the 20 mil floor, and they've got all these back credits, and those bills have to be incredibly confusing for taxpayers when it was supposed to be, make this simpler and easier and less expensive for them, and I'm not sure, I have a hard time understanding how they're doing this.
I don't think the appraisals went up very much because the fiscal officer now has final authority, not the state tax commissioner. And 3 years ago, she fought the state tax commissioner and lost. So I know mine only went up by $2,000. And I can tell you that 3 years ago, it went up by a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah.
It went up by like $24,000.
It was about, what was that year?
So
like 26,
I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, that was a big, that was
I'll
almost
take the $2,000
Yeah,
over the $24,000
yeah,
that went
for
up.
sure. Yeah, so,
Does this committee talk about the benefits to academics and to student well-being of programs like the athletic? The athletic program it costs money, but it has, there are studies and data and there's information about the benefits of anything that costs money. So does that take place in this committee?
we kind of talk about it in the sense of like that quality profile of, what are we spending our money on? And then what are those students getting out of that? Or what kind of accomplishments are they achieving, whether it be athletics or fine arts or academics? Each year, each building principal, department, director sends me kind of like, give me your highlights of the last few years. We haven't been totally focused on that so far in like a deep dive because of the capital planning was kind of our main focus to get started, but come the fall, because I'd like to kind of get that out in the fall sometime. I think that will shift more of our focus to kind of looking at the overall picture of, what good things are happening, but also being transparent in where we're spending our money, what we're spending it on, and accomplishments and/or, like I said, what it actually goes to, the, square footage, all of that.
It's, well, everything we do should, I think, support our children's and our students' academic and knowledge growth. But I know that, let me start over. You could cut a budget for a public school district down to the bare minimum you have to do, but we would lose so much. Our students would suffer, their learning would suffer. So someone could nitpick everything, but I know there's a reason that our staff recommends this software or this curriculum. So that's the kind of thing I would like to be able to understand and explain to people who are scrutinizing our expenses.
Yeah, for sure. And then that is part of our, like, the vision talks about
Yeah.
athletics, academics, the whole student basically, how we can support them through, our financial
Yeah.
side of things and in alignment with the other areas of the strategic plan.
I thought you were talking about me when you said people that scrutinize their finance.
I know you scrutinize it.
Dr. Salko did too.
The shoe fits. Just teasing. Well, we all do. We all give her a hard time.
You're welcome. Thanks. That's all we have. Yep, moving on.
Thank you, President Gomez, Vice President Schaefer, board members, Dr. Selico, Mrs. Stoikoi, for having us here tonight. We're going to be talking about steering to student achievement. And so that envision is where we do not put barriers, institutional barriers to our students, that we empower them to kind of create those paths forward, right? And that, of course, they're lifelong learners, the global citizens, because we know now that we learn across the globe and connect with people in so many places. And those innovative experiences, like we talked about earlier, the GAR grant, and also just innovation in teaching and learning. It doesn't have to be a disruptive innovation. It could be incremental innovations that can make a big difference as well, and making sure to prepare them for employment, enlistment, and enrollment. And again, it's their choice to make that choice, and that we provide those opportunities. Okay, Ms. Seaman.
So I'll talk a little bit about the committee. So we have a board member, Ms. White, on the committee. The teaching and learning team, special education team. We have 2 parent stakeholders, 2 teacher stakeholders, and we've held 3 meetings so far this year. As Mr. Elder stated earlier, we are recruiting for more team members, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about later. So we have met 3 times this year to talk about all of our objectives. The next, you can go ahead to the next one. So our first objective on steering to student achievement is to continue to improve MTSS, particularly when looking at RTI, so response to intervention. MTSS is multi-tiered system of supports. And we're really looking to increase our framework to keep perfecting or improving our framework that we have by using diagnostic assessments, also the early warning system to drive differentiated instruction as well as intervention for our students who might be struggling in one area or another, servicing the whole child.
And then the next one is specific to post-secondary and making sure that they have those life skills, those soft skills that we know employers talk about a lot at our Business Advisory Council in town, but also that they understand literacy, digital literacy, and teamwork, problem solving. So just ensuring that through their learning experiences that they are infusing, and that we have intentionality behind how we bring that in to the classroom, so. Okay. And then the next one is, again, we connect with the culture of caring about belonging, which is so important for children to learn. Really believing in student success criteria, metacognition, knowing goals, understanding what they're learning, why they're learning, what they should be able to do and know. Also that they are part of that goal setting and understanding their own growth as learners. That helps us improve greatly when we do that. And I think what we talked about earlier, that they're inspired, right? They feel a sense of hope. They feel trust, ambition, that people believe in them, and they do that through high expectations. So that is our next objective.
And I'll go over some of the milestones that we've had this year for the MTSS framework. So we've really tried to focus, some of the biggest milestones are secondary MTSS, so focusing on MTSS, multi-tiered system of supports for 6 through 12, Orton-Gillingham Plus, and personalized Tiger Time. So just to kind of go through a little bit of the secondary MTSS. So we've really tried to start utilizing the framework at the secondary level. So this year in the middle school, we started to focus on 6th graders who have reading improvement and monitoring plans. So there are 50 students. We differentiated interventions for them using either OG Plus, Wilson Intensive, IXL for reading. We also used Zern for several students in math that had some difficulties as well. We considered the early warning system data, so looking at attendance, behavior and social emotional supports, as well as coursework or how well they did on OSTs or their grades. So looking at that, and we met 2 times this year for the middle school. At the high school, we started focusing on freshmen. So we still have the systems that we've had in place that we've been using for years to be able to support all students, but we really tried to build the framework at the freshman level, and then we're gonna scale up. So at the freshman level, we started off supporting 37 students as freshmen. 6 of them exited to Tier 1, which was fantastic. We were super excited to see that by the end of the year, that with the supports we had given them, that they were able to exit back into Tier 1. We use the early warning system, so the attendance, behavior, social emotional. So we're using Public School Works, all of the F reports. So if there's students that are receiving Fs, looking primarily at ELA and math, but then also OST data to funnel in and really kind of carry through the 37 students. We met 3 times this year as an MTSS support meeting. So that's with all of the interventionists that we've kind of solicited. We've taught them interventions, taught them progress monitoring tools, and we met 3 times a year with them. But then we also have a data team where we pull all the data together and we sift through the data prior to the MTSS support team with the interventionists. So we had 3 meetings this year. At the elementary, we continue to do our data days and really focus on that personalized Tiger Time, where we're sharing kids across really supports, so general education teachers, the structured literacy specialists, as well as intervention specialists, to meet the needs of students based on their diagnostic data that we collected through Acadians. For Orton-Gillingham Plus, we had 25 teachers this year. That included coaches, structured literacy specialists, and intervention specialists that are Orton-Gillingham Plus trained and delivering that intervention as well as some Tier 1 supports with that also. And then we had 8 administrators who took the administrators overview course of Orton-Gillingham so that they could also understand Orton-Gillingham and also support the teachers that took that. So it's our big highlights for this year.
Okay, so under student success, we had a really big win. If you remember, last year we added the algebra support class. We invested in that with dedicated planning, so they had several days of planning throughout the school year. Dr. Herron, who is one of the consultants that the board supports, planned with them, went into their classrooms, spent time with the teachers specifically. There was definitely data review, the readiness assessments that are given, which those are like kind of formative assessments that align to the OST. They had a schedule of strategies, the way they approached teaching Algebra 1, and then administratively, I visited the Algebra 1 TBT. That was one of the TBTs I focused on being part of, and then also classroom observations, going in and seeing the teachers teach. Because of that, we had more than 10% growth in Algebra 1 this year. So we're really excited that if you remember a couple years ago, we were in the 40th percentile, and now we are in the 60s. So we've had some really good growth over those 3 years in Algebra 1. DLT analysis and pacing. So we've been doing teacher clarity ad nauseum every year. And this year we focused a lot on pacing. So we understand the standards, we understand the skills, the performance levels, and now how are we pacing the standards? And so at the end of this year, we have a massive spreadsheet where every TBT has a pacing calendar. They all have common assessments linked into the spreadsheet. They have their priority standards defined. So we have many, many columns of the resources that support teachers. So if a teacher does move into a new team, that is there. And that spreadsheet we're going to use for this year to dive in deeper into common assessments and the quality of those assessments. We're also looking at our TBT forms. So our first year with the teacher feedback form was very simple. We layer a little bit more last year, and so every year there's a little bit more depth to that, and so we're going to be doing that as well. And then our pacing survey, if you recall, I think I had shared, we had over 100 responses, and a really high percentage, about 80% of our teachers valued monitoring their pacing and realizing they covered many more standards. We are looking at this year that our proficiency, our OST proficiency, jumped from 48% passage to 61% passage. So that means they're aligning better, which is exactly what teacher clarity, one part of it is. Then RIMS were reduced. So we had 100 students come off of a RIMP from last fall, not this fall, but 2 falls, it's fall to fall. Which we were really excited about. But Dr. Selico got to enjoy a really robust conversation with the Department of Education regarding that the early literacy component does not honor that. It only looks at the students who are on the RIMP, even though we had students meet proficiency with Acadians, meet the benchmark, that does not show up. It's only children on a RIMP. So we are continuing to meet and through the MTSS process to support our children who are on RIMS. So it's our most intensive students who are in that category now. So it's going to keep being hard for us, but we're meeting with the University of Akron, Dr. Rebecca Tolson, who's doing the training with the structured literacy specialists, and we're also introducing academic vocabulary this year. So every teacher will have an academic vocabulary list that we're generating for them to use. So we think that will help.
We're lucky with Akron being in our backyard because
Oh, yeah.
got that big grant from the state of Ohio
They
as
did.
well.
And we were the first persons they asked. I worked with Dr. Tolson in 2014 in another district, and we worked on academic language therapists years ago. So we had a great partnership, and I was honored that she thought of us again. So our teachers are really doing some great work this summer to have over 30 teachers dedicate their time to this course, and it is rigorous. This is a high-level collegiate course that they are taking. So we're excited to hear that from them. And then Wit and Wisdom, as you recall, we had a really slow rollout, and you knew I was kind of intentional about that. It was different. But we really have 100% buy-in. What's made it challenging, we've talked about it, is we've had 3 programs in 4 years. I can't say, I do think that negatively impacts us still. I still think it's there with us. But the teachers believe in wit and wisdom, they believe in foundations, they believe in integrity. So right there, that's wonderful that we have a foundation of resources, and we thank the board for investing, because that was a lot of money. But they do believe in it, and all our teachers use it. So many times as a board, you spend the money and you think, well, this sit on the shelf. It is not. They are really using it in part of their classroom experiences, so.
And even the books that we can't teach from anymore, we're still using in our
We do.
libraries as resources. So
Absolutely.
I think we're being really good stewards of those resources.
Yes, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Post-secondary, we've decided Mr. Smith could become a new EMIS coordinator because he understands data so much now with the graduation cohort. We met monthly, and it was intensive conversations, tracking down student by student sometimes, understanding how we're demonstrating our data and making sure it's accurate. So because of that accuracy, because we're looking at data fidelity, and of course we're also supporting them to graduate, we're going from an 88% graduation rate where we had some EMIS hiccups to 95.6. So that just making sure that we're tracking the data, and we're literally calling school districts in other states to see if a child enrolled, so we didn't lose that kid. Because any kid that we lose and we don't know what happened to them, that's a hit to our graduation rate. And we also want to know that children are going to graduate, and how can we help them?
And do you think House Bill 455 is going to pass in lame duck, which includes the social graduation component?
Yes,
So that would be a huge help.
That would
because
help.
That should have never counted against.
I agree.
Because
That's-
it's doing right, it's doing what's right for that student.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't count against us.
We also support and thank that the ITCs put together what's called cross-check. So when Ms. Shaw submits data, it goes, into a data collector, and then they take that data back out and they make sense of it and put it into cross-check. So if counselors or principals believe that this child has met these seals, or they met these credits, or whatever that data point is, cross-check then tells us yes or no. And if we have it on our spreadsheet a yes, but cross-check tells us no, then we go again and we dive into the data and look and see why is our data off. So cross-check has also been a really important resource. It's about $5,000 we spend every year, but it's so important for special education. It's also improving our funding. So we're hoping that Ms. Stoikoi will maybe be able to tell us some positive news, that especially CTE funding, we expect to see an increase in financial support. So early warning system, there is an academic early warning system. So it looks at test scores and a variety of data points that the children have, and then it's an academic algorithm that says the child is at risk. And so that is something that we have been using, and because we're going to have data leads on our BLTs next year, they're going to learn how to use that early warning system in depth. And so again, thank you for the investment in that. That is, again, about $5,000 a year for all the data dashboards, but we have many, many dashboards now, and so we can really start to use those specifically for our needs, and so we appreciate your investment on that. And then the engagement strategies, this comes from the teachers. They tell us this is what they want to learn more about. We're continuing that into next year, among other things, but we're just trying to keep higher engagement with our students. So we're excited about how they've accepted that. And, we're just continuing to see growth in our performance index. So we've had about 3 to 4 percentage points over the last 3 years. Doesn't sound like a lot, but a 1% or 2% in a year is pretty steady growth. So we're pleased that we're going, and I always tell Dr. Selico, if we had a massive jump, we'd all wonder why. But when it's slow and steady, and it's not really slow, it's steady, that means that all the things we're doing, the layering is working, and so we're pleased with that.
for those push-in strategies, would we be using like gifted strategies there as well, of like how to push in gifted engagement?
Yes, actually, Ms. Belko is going to have an office here at the middle school. So we decided that we loved having her by us, but she is just so great with teachers and being with the students that we're getting her closer to the ELA teachers. Her support in gifted has also increased our AP score passage from 63 to 70%. So again, we're growing there as well. So yeah. It's really important. Thank you. So future work, teaming, been working with Ms. Collins over the summer. She's super excited as our new principal, and she's already just dedicating so much time to our school district. And they worked on creating tools that support them with culture and academics and behavior. And so they'll be using that to kind of create those systems in the middle school. And that is our highest need when it comes to our academic growth. And so we're really excited that teaming is going to build a new foundation for them. I've spent a lot of time at the high school. I'll be probably spending a little bit more time at the middle school this year, and Ms. Bird will be spending probably more time at the elementary schools. And then the DLT focus moving into this year will be, we'll continue pacing, continue engagement. We're going to introduce quality reviews of our common assessments. We'll work on that during the district leadership teams. Academic vocabulary. We're going to introduce retrieval practices. This is where we're going to help our teachers learn how to have our students engage in recalling what they know and learn, but in ways that are more rigorous than, say, we've been doing. And this isn't just Cuyahoga Falls, this is just how we teach. And so I think these retrieval practices will also help improve working memory, our students with disabilities. It's a really nice global approach, and any teacher could use it regardless of what they teach. And then we're going to begin administrative walkthroughs, where we're going to align a walkthrough survey with what we've been doing Teacher Clarity. So now it's kind of time to see how is it all working, and then we can share that data at the DLT as well. Nothing teacher specific, no teacher names, nothing like that, more global data.
Just with the middle school teaming, because I know Mrs. Zimmerman had asked us when we approved the 2-3-4 model for the middle school teams, and I know principals don't come back to the end of the month, so just to keep it in everybody's mind, but of how we're gonna do the like gifted push-in and like acceleration with that model. Like we know how it worked with the 4 teachers, but just how it's gonna work with the 2-3-4 model, just to make sure that once that all gets
Yes.
working and we start placing students.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
and
we probably don't have that done right now because we're not at that point and principals aren't formally all back in the buildings yet.
And there's
so.
new changes in the law with
Yeah.
math placement. We're kind of in pretty good shape with that law, but we'll have to really look at how we're placing students
Yeah.
mathematically.
So once
do
that gets done, we're just interested, I know as a board, to know how
Absolutely.
that piece works out.
Yep, I'd be glad to share that with you.
I was just going to mention a couple of things, just in terms of the middle school teaming, like from a special education standpoint, like we're working on just systems and structures to put in place to help with co-teaching, so that we have specific expectations and that there are specific expectations for the students and the teachers and the teams. So we're also working to kind of collaborate on that structure as well. I think we eliminated one slide, which eliminated one thing here. Yeah, that's what it was, because I'm like, where's all the MTSS stuff? So we're going to continue with MTSS. We're going to continue to scale up. So obviously address more students across the grade levels. And then just continue to work with our interventionists who are providing some of the intervention supports to just improve upon either some of the structures for progress monitoring, but also continuing to teach them in terms of what intervention and how they can intervene with certain students. So we'll continue to use our early warning system and all of that, and continue to work in our data teams just to kind of scale up. So from this point, we kind of have a structure. Now it's just improvement and scaling up.
And then the graduation committee will come out of our grad cohort committee, and we're going to be inviting counselors to join that committee with us. So we're going to teach them more about EMIS, cross-check, all those data points, and just have a more efficient system. We had a lot of spreadsheets going last year, and so we're going to streamline that. So we'll work on that through the committee. And we'd love to have more committee members. So if you know of anyone that would enjoy being part of it, we're happy to have them. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board on any parts of the strategic plan? Comments?
Lots of work. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to item E, Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda. Ms. Stoykoy.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Okay, so we just have the minutes. We have our change funds, which we do annually for the athletics and activities and food service. So we approve those annually. And then we also have our donations. Pull it up. There's a couple there. One from the foundation, and then one anonymous one for the Black Tiger Family Center. So we appreciate those as a, well, I'll wait till my comments.
I was wondering if we knew what the alumni one, like, I know it's for students, but do we know what that was for?
I haven't actually seen that to say, to know what it's
just wondering.
specifically for.
I'm very grateful for it. I was just,
Is it their grants?
no, we don't usually approve it.
Huh, I don't know.
I'm definitely grateful for all donations in that one as well, but just,
I was wondering. the same.
okay, that's all. Any other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye. Item F, Treasurer CFO's Business, Ms. Stoykoy.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve the June 2026 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, just a couple things. So this is our end of the year here. So looking at our interest, obviously, following the same patterns, but to look at the year. So in total, we received throughout all of our funds, a little under 1.4 million, and about a little over 400,000, or close to 400,000, in the general fund, which is a little bit over what I had originally anticipated in the forecast. Pretty close though. So we're still trying to utilize that. Food service, you will see that they ended zero. Technically, they didn't end in zero, but the general fund made a transfer to, as we approved last meeting, for a little under $100,000. So they're starting out the year zero. So most likely in January and August, because we're not receiving any revenue, you're going to kind of see that in the negative until we start getting those reimbursements in September, because we are still paying salary and benefits over the summer and that kind of payroll stuff. With that, so then general fund, we ended up with a little under 750,000, which after some updates, that's not originally what it was in February, but I think some of the stuff I had presented to you, I think in regards to the levy and what we need, it's slightly over what I had originally thought back in whatever that was, April, early May. Not by a lot, but every little bit helps. So that's how we will start out the year. We're not going to start receiving our collections until August at the earliest. So there is potential for, the general fund to also kind of be in the red while we're, running payroll and paying insurance and those kinds of things. But July is usually one of these also lower revenue months, and then we'll begin to collect our second half settlements then. So we pretty close to where we thought we'd end up based on kind of how I updated it as we went along. So just slightly ahead. And then the other thing that is in here, so first I expect, typically we have a report from Red Tree. I expect that most likely in August. I think it's just a little early for that. But I did provide for you guys the credit card rebate report. So through Huntington, they have a virtual card program basically. And so what happens is that we can use those to pay our vendors. So we kind of upload a file into the system. It creates a virtual card for exactly that amount, a one-time use, to pay our vendors as if we would pay them ACH or a check. It's on the credit card, so we get a percentage back from that, and then there's like a one-time depending on the total of, you know, what we've done for the year. They kind of give us like a yearly bonus, usually in February. So in total, it was a little under $13,000 in those rebates that we received for doing that. Unfortunately, a lot of places, as you can see anymore, is they're passing those fees for the credit card on to consumers more and more and more. That it's cheaper if you're using cash versus you see it at the gas station now that, you know, credit is, you know, 10 cents more or whatever it is than if you're using cash. So a lot of companies, because of those fees, have started to no longer accept the credit cards without a fee attached to it. So we're not, it wouldn't work out that like the fee, what we get is outweighing the fee that we're paying. So usually we kind of just take them and move them to ACH or physical check or whatever it is that they request. But we do that as part of our, when we bring in a new vendor, part of our vendor packet asks that, do you accept credit cards, are there fees? And if we can, we get them on there so we can kind of utilize and get the most that we can out of that. But you can see we did get, the monthly is, you know, hovering around 300, 400. Some are a little higher, but February is when we received that bonus payment, which was about $6,700. There's also the monthly in there, so it's probably around a little over $6,000 in kind of extra for the quantity and the amounts that we're utilizing that. So.
That would be a good Finance Friday. Any other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, go and pass it down. So this is pretty much the same sheet that I generated for you last time, but I have included kind of number of staff, or estimations of number of staff and total amounts that potentially would be that. So the front, again, is just kind of a recapture of what we've done so far. And then on the back is where it kind of looks at if under the potential budget reduction options, we're looking at who and what positions and how many there are to potentially reduce. I've also included some other things that aren't necessarily positions, but we talked about busing minimums, you know, athletic programs, pay to participate, fees increase on there. So you can see the athletic programs, I put in like the coach's salary and benefits in addition to what it costs in salary and benefits for the transportation of that. That doesn't include any of the costs for actual, you know, our $50,000 that we utilize out of the general fund to pay for uniforms. Doesn't include, you know, gas, wear and tear on the buses, those kind of more indirect costs. So that it's obviously that's kind of the floor there for that. And then recommendation, if you choose to do pay to participate, is increase is listed there as well. That one is not you're not going to see a huge increase in revenue. But I did present it there as we had talked about in the past. It's not something, unfortunately, that's required, you know, for us to provide, similar to the busing situation of, you know, the minimums. We're doing more than that right now, same thing. Extracurricular activities are not something that's required.
And is this estimate on busing minimums because of the reduction it would be to private schools as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, yeah.
So the increase in the fees, is that the new fee, or that is the amount that it will increase?
No, that would be the new fee.
That's the new fee?
Yeah, so
Okay.
currently, as for reference, I'll tell you, so currently, middle school sports are $50
Okay,
across the board, period. Band is $75.
okay.
Sports, we like to make everything complicated. So the first sport is $100. The second sport is $75. The second, anything after that is $75. However, there is a individual, which is kind of not, you don't see a lot of that, an individual like child cap. You see a lot of family cap, but not necessarily an individual athlete. So currently we have an individual athlete cap of $200. So if you play 3 sports, and or band, like you're not paying for, so you're only paying your third sport $25 because you've paid 100, you've paid 75, and then the max is 200. So this suggestion is kind of just making it a little more across the board. It's simpler. Maintaining that for our free students, we offer them 50% off those prices if they qualify for free lunch there. So.
Well, we can't just eliminate 8.5 EL teachers though, because I mean, some of these you can, but like EL teachers, can we eliminate any of them technically?
Maybe a couple, but
Yeah.
not that many.
So
I just put the total for those ones, like
Okay.
for all of these, I kind of put the total of what those we have, and then the
So
total.
can you get us info, could Dr. Salvo get us the info on that
Yeah.
to get a more accurate number? Just so we're presenting factual. Because obviously we have legal obligations. And then do we want to include the information about 5th grade? And then potentially looking at closing elementary school?
Yeah, I didn't.
Because our cohorts are between 200 and 300, and we have 2 schools that are approximately that many, so if you move up, I'm, again, not saying that these are things I want to do, but if we're talking about worst-case scenarios and significant savings, it is what it is.
Yeah, I just also want to go on record that, like, I'm not advocating for getting rid of athletic programs before anybody
Yeah,
like
I'm
puts
not
me down.
I'm not
or
advocating
anything
for
like
any
that.
of these
Like,
things,
I'm not
for the
advocating
record.
for any of this.
I don't think any
just
of us are
putting
advocating
it
for.
on the table of things that, you
None
know,
of us are
unfortunately
advocating for
are not
any
required.
of
But
these
I
things.
didn't want it to come across
But
that
I
way.
think we just
think
want to
they're
be,
important.
I don't want to have something drastic happen and people be like, well, if that was on there as a possibility, I might have voted a
Correct.
different
I
way.
originally had it on there from last time. I took it off just mostly because I really didn't know exactly.
I think it's a real possibility. Again, all of these are possibilities
Yeah,
if the levy fails. So I think it is a possibility because a cohort of students is still the size of approximately 2 of our elementary buildings.
we would just have, I just need to
And I'm
dig into
speaking-
what that would,
I'm speaking in broad statements here.
yeah, of what staff.
So what do you mean by a cohort?
A graduating class. So
Oh.
like if you take all the 5th graders out, again, I'm not advocating for anything on here. I'm just saying these are realities if a levy fails.
Okay, still trying to understand what you're saying about,
With the middle school teaming changes, we have enough space.
oh, I see, okay. So closing one or two of the elementary schools?
To close one.
An additional elementary
Yeah,
school?
that's
Oh,
it.
and move the fifth grade into this building, that's
yeah.
what you're talking about? Okay, so this would be 5 to 12, and then we would have 4 elementaries?
Yeah, it's yucky.
Yeah,
All of
Well-
this is yucky. That's a yucky idea too, but again, closing an elementary school is a significant savings.
and the state, the OFCC's
It's what they want us to do.
position is that we have enough room in
It's
this
what
building.
the state wants us to do anyway,
Yeah.
frankly, so
Right,
it's not what any of us want to do.
No, they
Right.
want third grade through 12th grade.
Well, yeah, but,
Well, and the
they
president
want 3rd through 12th in one building?
in this building,
They're saying that's how many we could fit.
it's currently in this building,
that, yeah.
That's,
is what we can accommodate.
no, it isn't. I'm sorry.
Is that what that?
We all know that,
we were
but
told.
that's,
All right.
they simply look at numbers and do some, division and pick
I'm just
No way.
speechless.
Not what's developmentally appropriate, but bodies in the building.
Like
Yeah,
fire
it's
marshal
just not-
maximum
no
or
way.
something.
Fire
Yeah. So,
The
Yeah, vote-
presentation that we went to
better
about
than that,
levies
than what we
and
get.
what was happening in other districts across the state was sobering when I heard what other district statements of facts and what they were potentially looking at. And when they were saying, they were talking about cutting electives and people were just sitting in study halls for 2 and 3 periods a day when they could be taking some elective classes, but they didn't have the money to pay for teachers to teach those classes, so kids were sitting in a study
I
hall.
did a little bit of like
And it was-
crowdsourcing on the pay to participate fees, and we're all aware of the, trouble that Streetsboro is currently in financially, and their pay to participate is $300 a sport, no cap.
yeah, I don't think putting
And
this
when you say
in,
no cap, you're not saying no lie. You're saying,
Both.
I don't,
Seeing out
I
the
don't
lingo.
think, again, I'm not trying to up our pay to participate fees if the levy passes, but again, I don't think those are unreasonable.
do you remember what
include
that
in-
was in that one,
$500 per sport,
$500?
that's what one district was proposing, and
Yeah,
there was,
Springfield was.
and there was no
free.
forgiveness, it was,
A lot of people don't do the free, it doesn't matter if you qualify for free, they don't.
and
give a
we also
discount.
have that, our policy, because we are who we are in this district, we have that policy
Yes.
where, if there's a significant hardship, the building administration can reach out to the treasurer's office. And that does get utilized because, our building administration best knows, so-and-so, family, mom got cancer, they just have something
Yeah.
going on. We don't want to pull that opportunity away from a kid because they're going through an extreme hardship.
There are many, so I kind of just did Summit County and then also the new Metro, those schools as well. There are a number of people that don't charge pay and participate fees. And then Coventry, for example, they are 100 for band, 100 each sport, 75 at the middle school, but they have no cap.
Their fiscal oversight commission probably put that in place.
So they have no cap, field where my children attend. They're 100 per sport across the board, but there's a cap of 500 families, just like we have. But middle school, high school, it doesn't matter, but they don't charge for band. It's just athletics. Streetsboro's 300,
Do
middle
we
school.
charge for middle school band?
No.
I was gonna say.
Streetsboro's 300, high school or middle school, no cap, so, potentially, if you're in 3 sports, or maybe 4, some people are, $1,200. I kind of did like, my 2 high schoolers both played 4 sports last year, and that, I would have paid $2,400 for them.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. What are other people's thoughts in terms of the whole thing? Is there more information needed other than the request? We're not voting on it tonight anyway, but
So we need to cut okay, in this scenario, we have to cut $3.3 million. But, and then that would only get us 1 year, buy us 1 year, and then we would have to cut more, right, in each year?
It depends on when those cuts were made.
Okay,
You know what I mean? So if you made the 3.3 effective as of the end of this year, going into 28, you'd save it in 28 and 29, potentially, you know, because it's compounding.
so it's
Could
not,
be,
right,
but-
it's not like we'd have to save the difference between 8.4 and 3.3 the following year, but
No.
you're not gonna, you're still gonna have to, you're still gonna be in the hole probably. And then same with the fourth year. Sorry,
And then
Karen.
we're still counting on the emergency levy.
Yeah,
Right.
so they're gonna trigger, in 28, that we have a deficit, we don't have a deficit, but without the emergency levy in the second year, it's going to trigger that there would be a negative balance, without that of 1.6, which is just about half of what it would be the following year. So they're gonna wanna know, starting in fiscal 28, how you're gonna remedy that 1.6 million. Which then, if all of those things are compounding things, you're pretty much remedying that next as well. But you're still hovering right around zero at that point, which is not great.
So this chart does include the 1.6?
So it doesn't, so what,
Oh,
so
okay.
so what happens, and it's very weird, so they look at the first 3 years. If you're negative in any of those, bottom line, with renewal levies included, it triggers you to do a plan. So for us, that's going to be fiscal 29, the third year of the forecast come in August. However, if in the first or second year, you have a renewal levy that has not yet passed, and without that, you would be in a deficit situation. They require if that happens in the first or second year, that you also have a plan to remedy that in case that does not pass.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's not what we're doing right now. We're not creating a fiscal recovery plan.
No,
We're creating a statement of facts.
Statement of facts of what we might have to do in a financial recovery.
No.
No,
No, just for the levy.
for the levy,
No.
okay.
We're not
okay.
talking about a financial recovery plan at all, nor are we actually talking about the emergency levy. We're only talking about what we would do potentially if the levy in November fails.
Okay.
That's the only thing we are talking about. That is our agenda topic. I get how it's confusing, because there is a lot of other factors, but the only thing we are focused on is potential budget reduction options if the November levy, which is a new money ask, fails. Was there additional information needed? Are there additional things that we need to put on?
outside of the budget reductions, one question I do have, and I know you talked about it before, but I wasn't sure what specifically. We talked about putting in positive, things as well. Like, if it does pass, we're committed to X, or we're committed to, whatever. If that is something you would want to include, we would also need to kind of know what potentially those may be.
Well, we would need to still keep, I know we had originally talked about if we did the other type of levy, we would let the emergency levy expire, but that's not what's happening in this, so that's off the table.
Yeah, so just for reference, what is shown here includes that emergency levy. And then I just kind of noted that in 28, there would be that, so, yes, but that we have until next November is the last opportunity to renew that.
So do we want to commit to doing the free meals for everyone if it passes or not?
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Did
one.
we find out what, oh, we won't know until the fall what our
Correct.
qualification number is.
And the hard part about it is that they pull it on a specific date, so it's April 1st. As of April 1st, what are your statistics in the district? Now, we'll have an idea, it's not gonna like go wild from the point of, you know, like what we have in the fall versus what we have to April, but it could vary and it could have an impact, but we can run those numbers
So we have the numbers from April 1st
from last year,
of
yes.
this past year.
Which I think I sent to you guys, but I can resend it if you need me to.
Could
Where
we,
it was-
could we say if we qualify, we will pursue free lunch for everyone?
There's no such thing necessarily as qualifying.
Or-
We could say we're committed to exploring CEP, which means blah, 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 if the levy passes.
Yeah. I mean,
Because we couldn't sign up for it midway through the year, really,
no,
anyway.
you have to do it after the year, you can't do it midway through, and it's, yeah, there's not really a qualify for it, it's just each individual district has to look at,
You could have 10% and say, hey, we want to do it.
Oh,
yeah, you
okay, I
could, you
see.
could still not be making money on it per se, you could be losing money, but if you're accepting that fact and it's not that much and you're okay with maybe the general fund covering that because of the benefit it's giving to the families and the students in the district for everyone to be free, you can do that.
So the number you were talking about that's pulled on April 1st, what is that significant?
That's the data they use to calculate like
Okay.
what the
Oh.
reimbursement is and what
Okay.
all of that is. That's what they put, that's the amount of what they put into the formula to determine, will you come out on top, will you not? And it's still, they're all estimates, because it's based on what did you get reimbursements, you know, on average per month? You know, do you expect there to be an increase in sales of meals, with everything being free, which, would anticipate there would be some, to some extent, how much? And that's kind of where we were, like, I think I said if we got to like 10 or 15%, I think 10%, we would have come out slightly in the green, in that, but typically they have like 5% in there, as their kind of standard increase. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't be, but, given our financial situation and us already subsidizing food service is why we did not, move forward, because it would be more money that we would have had to transfer,
Okay.
in the end.
Could we just say that we're committed to exploring it, CEP, which means blah, 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 and explain it?
For sure.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
And then, when you say like the fifth grade thing, and make sure you say redistricting as well, because I think
I
that,
mean, it's,
you don't want to just say that, you want to make sure people understand the redistricting
Right.
piece, because that was its own whole thing, and you want to, I think just that word is another thing. And then with the athletics, we also get the cost of clubs, because we do have a lot of clubs, and I think we would have to analyze like how many students are actually in this club and go dollar by dollar and say, oh, if there's only 5 kids in this club, we're not gonna pay $800 for a stipend for this club anymore. So just think if we can include that as well.
that's a good
Like, we would
point.
need to know how many students are actually engaging in each of these clubs and see if that money was worthwhile. As it is now, if there are kids in a club, I don't really want to get rid of it because
No.
there's a value in that. We know that could be why a kid comes to school, but again, if we're put in that position, we're put in that position.
So, clubs, I can just tell you right now, salary and benefit cost is about $315,000, and we do not charge for club participation. Now, that also includes, you know, pretty much, that includes band, that includes some things we're not going to necessarily get away from our mentor,
Yeah.
resident educator, but in total, our kind of academic supplementals, it's about 315,000.
That's a lot.
We would have to really go through that, which would be unfortunate.
So when listing, do you want me to list all of these things that are on here, or?
I think we should, because I think if you're looking at how much, I know the EL teachers, we need to refine, because obviously we can't, so.
Where did 8.5 come from?
That's total.
That's the total amount, but we have legal obligations to provide those services, so Dr. Salco's gonna work through her folks to get an updated number, to make sure we're not presenting a number that would take us out of legal compliance.
And then we'll need to know, like, teaching staff if we redistrict.
But like custodial maintenance staff, we do need some sort of number there.
Yeah, we had just talked about that in brief about, once we sell some of these buildings and things, that there's a potential for, reduction there, or, part of that is combined with if you redistrict and move fifth graders, there could potentially be, if the plan would be to sell whatever building you vacate, potentially, but we did talk about, right now we've still got the high school and Roberts and, all of that we're maintaining.
Anything else on this topic? And hopefully we can vote on this in August.
Do you want it the second meeting or the?
Do you think we could do the first meeting?
I can try. I am on vacation here, but I can.
If possible. If it's not
Yeah.
possible, it's not.
I
but
could probably get it
It would be helpful.
to you by then. So if you'd like to review it and then kind of give your feedback of whatever, and then maybe potentially, if it's in time, we can do it on the 5th. And if we still need to make some revisions, or you see something else that is necessary, then we'll just do it on the.
Okay.
When I do the forecast as well. Is there any other things besides CEP that you think you'd like to highlight that?
I feel like I don't know enough to make
Won't
suggestions.
do all these awful
Yeah.
things.
I know, it's like, we won't do this.
Keep transportation.
Okay, I will. Do you want, one last question, sorry, because in the past, we haven't necessarily associated the dollar figures or anything like that in a statement of facts of what potentially could be.
I think you could add more words to it just to clarify that these are approximations based on current figures, which could change over time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so do you want those amounts, do you want them kind of how I have them here? Do you want it to be more of like, the total of all of
I
this?
think in the past you made like a little PowerPoint, so you wanna plug it into that.
On the statement of fact?
Yeah, you did a PowerPoint in the past.
I did, but I don't remember did I put dollar amounts to it?
Well, I would do dollar amounts, but just with like a disclosure that it's an approximation based on current figures, which are always subject to change over time. I think that would cover it.
And I'm not
Mr.
sure,
Schaefer?
I'm not sure about the busing routes, what the intention is, but I would probably be more specific than what state minimums
Yeah.
are. Okay.
Yeah, I'll elaborate a little bit on
And how
this.
that would impact both public and private transportation.
Yeah,
Because you want our families that choose other options to understand that would be a reduction for them as well.
yeah. I previously did not put any amounts in,
I think they're valuable for people to
Yeah.
understand, because if we're putting amounts of like how much we've cut, I think it's important to understand, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, are you okay that if I kind of frame it in this, like, you know, like listing kind of this and saying the aggregate kind of savings, if you were to eliminate all of these, is potentially X, or do you want it kind of individually in a sense, like,
Well, I'm already adding it, trying to add it all up in my head, and other people will be too. So whether you total it for them or
yeah.
not, I don't know.
As long as it equals at least 3.3 million. Yeah. Otherwise, it's gonna be an issue, because then people are gonna say, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so my last question.
otherwise you'll have to add more stuff.
How general or not general as far as like the specific staffing positions or things, or would you rather it say more like teaching staff, or do you want it to actually say?
I think it should say
Okay.
the things, I think people should
Okay.
know,
I agree.
because these are things that people count on.
I think you can look at a thing that says teaching staff and tell yourself, well, that won't affect my student. But when you see,
So, okay, I'll kind of maybe do like a one slide narrative, and then maybe the second slide, just kind of a little chart of like, here are all those amounts, necessarily, that are associated with that, or the number of positions that are, associated with that. Okay.
Do you have any other comments tonight?
The only other thing I have is that in all this wonderful learning about our relationship with the library this year, and I had talked to you guys about, typically we do the alternative tax budget, and I thought, well, you know what, I learned so much, let's just see if this is, I've just always done it because that's what I've done in past districts, and we're the taxing authority. So I did reach out to the attorneys, and she had let me know that yes, unless the Budget Commission has waived that requirement for the library. So I reached out to the Budget Commission, and as it turns out, they have. So we are not required to approve their alternative tax budget. We haven't been, but going forward, we won't be, because they have waived that requirement, because the library, directly submits it, they directly receive their funds, and it gets approved, it still goes through all the same thing, it gets approved by the Budget Commission, but we are not required, so I learned something new about us in the library every day.
Sounds good. Thank you. It brings us to item G, Superintendent CEO's Business Consent Agenda. Dr. Salico.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves all items listed in the superintendent's consent agenda.
So moved.
Discussion?
Yes. We have a number of items this evening for your consideration, many relative to personnel. We have, I'll come back, I'll go in reverse here about our certified appointments and share with you some recommendations we have for you. But we have some certified transfers. That's what you'll see as a result of the closing of Preston and through attrition. The classified appointments that we are appointing 2 paraprofessionals for the high school and preschool. We have 2 assistant, high school assistant football coaches added, and also football volunteers. We have a leave of absence, and then we have a resignation. We have some contracts. Under contracts, we have our athletic event workers payment schedule. You've seen that before. We have our Kids Link School contract. That's for a student placement. Again, you've seen those before, as well as Wings of Change. Same applies. For ESC of Northeast Ohio, we're hiring a teacher of the visually impaired and an orientation mobility trainer. Again, that's related to students with disabilities. Quaver Music is the online curriculum platform for music. Again, we've renewed that every year. Great Minds is a digital license for My Geodes, which will be used for the K-3 literacy. And Parent Square is the 3-year renewal contract. We withdrew the other portion of that piece that was originally on there. And then lastly, I'd like to introduce to you some people who've been waiting patiently and learning an awful lot about the district. So that's actually, it worked out to your benefit. You've learned a lot. Not all good news, however, don't panic. I know that's probably sitting there going, wow, all these reductions. But I will tell you, unfortunately, most districts are in the same boat. And if those districts that have not been faced with these tough decisions, no matter how wealthy of a district, I think it's going to be just a matter of time until they're impacted just as much. So, but we'll keep it positive. So I have, again, a few people for your consideration this evening. Our first is Abby Kaufman. I believe that's Abby there. I'm pleased to recommend Abby for the position of Early Childhood Intervention Specialist at the Cuyahoga Falls Preschool. Abby recently graduated from the University of Akron, where she earned her Bachelor of Science in Education. She comes to our district fully certified, holding both a 2-year resident educator primary license and a primary intervention specialist license for grades pre-K through 5. Very difficult to find, Abby. Good for you for doing that. In addition to her strong academic background, Abby brings 4 years of hands-on classroom experience, having served as a teacher at the Goddard School. We are incredibly excited to welcome Abby to the Cuyahoga Falls City School District family, where her background in early childhood education and intervention will make a wonderful impact on our youngest learners. Next, it is my pleasure to recommend Andy Johnson, Andy's there, as the assistant principal for the Cuyahoga Falls. Oh, you are, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
you're not in the.
Whoa, not just yet, Andy. You're on the next one, I'm sorry. Thank you. The other one was John, so let me go there, pull up my other notes. John is not on the agenda, but I did want to just introduce you to him.
Because we already hired
We've
him.
already hired him, and I read to you his credentials, but I'm just to refresh your memory, and John's been sitting in the back there. Mr. Kinsey holds a Bachelor of Science in Education from Walsh University, where he majored in intervention specialist with a minor in history. He began his career in education as an intervention specialist, spending 14 years serving students across several local districts, including Copley, Springfield, Coventry, and Southeast. Throughout his teaching tenure, he was deeply involved in the school community, serving as a head and assistant coach for both football and baseball programs, and most recently, Mr. Kinsey transitioned into administration, serving as the assistant principal at Orville High School for the 25-26 school year. And we are excited that he's got a unique blend of experiences that I just spoke about. So you've hired Mr. Kinsey already, but he's here to meet you this evening. So, I believe that's it.
Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schuster?
Aye.
Welcome.
John and Abby, if you'd like to come forward and maybe say a few remarks. Whoever wants to go first, you can arm wrestle. We have a coach back there. I don't know, Abby, you might be in trouble.
I just want to say thank you all. I'm really excited to start my education career, especially in Cuyahoga Falls. I've always seen your school district. I'm honored to be here, so thank you all.
Welcome.
I guess I want to check 3 boxes. The first is I want to apologize for not being here last month. I was actually in a wedding out of state. I can promise you if that wasn't the case, I would have certainly been here. The second one is to kind of just say how excited I am. I've met a lot of great, at the building level anyway, some great teachers and administrators that have been welcoming, super polite, open arms, and I'm eager to get working with them. And then, kind of the third and final one is just a thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to lead in this district. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I look forward to familiarizing myself with all of you as well. And I hope that that vote of confidence is something that I can fulfill for you. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And just to note, Alexa Felbo was not able to make it this evening, but she's being hired as a counselor at Price and DeWitt. So you just hired her, so. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, she was unable to come this
Is
evening.
that because of all the counselor movement?
Yes, I'm trying to think. Yes, in elementary went, yes, with Miss Hardy's retirement. Yeah,
Okay.
one moved and then,
Yeah.
yep. Two moved to the high school. And then we did reduce
Yeah.
one, right?
Okay, thank you.
All
Okay,
right.
brings us to item H, Dr. Salga, your business.
Okay, now, Mr. Johnson.
Now, Mr. Johnson.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the administrative contract for Mr. Andrew Johnson as an assistant principal of Cuyahoga Falls High School.
So moved.
All right, it is my pleasure to recommend Mr. Johnson as the assistant principal for Cuyahoga Falls High School. Mr. Johnson comes to us with close to 9 years of proven administrative experience. He spent 5 years serving as the coordinator of the virtual learning program for the Bedford City School District, and most recently served for 3.5 years as the principal of Excel Academy within the same district. Mr. Johnson earned his Bachelor of Arts in History from the Ohio State University, his teaching certificate at Cleveland State University, and holds a Master of Education in Evaluation and Measurements from Kent State University. With his extensive background in leadership and program coordination, we are excited to welcome him to our leadership team. And one of the things that Mr. Johnson has done for several years is very similar to what you just heard last meeting, which is the Black Tiger Academy. So it'll be a nice fit that he
I
can
was
bring
gonna say,
his.
they're gonna be pulling from his expertise
Yeah,
quite a bit, I'm
that's
sure.
exactly right.
Ms. Macy's probably excited to have somebody
She
to.
is. And actually, Miss Maisie worked in Bedford with Mr. Johnson, and I, of course, worked with both, well, not Miss Maisie while I was there, but certainly Mr. Johnson, so we're happy to have him.
And then, he can fight Mr. Kenny Johnson over who gets to be called Mr. Johnson.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Oops. Sorry, I keep popping around. Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Welcome. We'll keep Mr. Elder busy at central office so he doesn't bug you too much.
Mr. Elder and I go back a little bit too, so yes, we keep him busy. Just very quickly to thank the board, Dr. Selico, and the high school team that I met with, the vote of confidence. Lifelong educator, child of a lifelong educator, the work that we do is so important, and I can't wait to get started. I'm very excited to be here and can't wait to join the Black Tiger family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, welcome.
Glad to have you.
We'll get to work soon enough. It's coming. All right, congratulations to both of you, and all of you, and Abby. Next item, it is recommended that the Board of Education approves the reassignment of Kenneth Elder for the position of Director, from the Director of Student Services to Director of Human Resources and Compliance, effective August 1st, 2026. I think there's a typo there. All other employment contract terms for Mr. Elder will remain unchanged.
So moved.
Second.
Is there anything we have to do with that because there's a typo? Can we just reflect that?
You read it, so.
Okay, so we're good, okay.
Any questions or comments?
This is a direct result of what we talked about last meeting, where we are reducing another central office administrator. Director of Human Resources is currently leaving, and as a result, we did some reassignments, and Mr. Elder is one of those that will be impacted, so he will be assuming that role of Director of Human Resources, and I added compliance, because there's a lot of compliance that goes along with HR, and with his particular experience, it fits nicely in the human resource role.
Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 3 is a little unusual. I don't typically put a discussion item on, but I felt, I think a discussion will help us arrive at my hope, maybe a different reconsideration of our conversation last meeting, which was Ms. Zeman's current title is Director of Special Education. And again, as I just mentioned with the consolidation, we'll be reassigning roles. Ms. Zeman will be taking on a portion of the student services role. Mr. Elder will be vacating. A lot of that will be coming over to her, as well as to Ms. Merkel, which is why we recommended her for the coordinator of student services position, just reassigning her. And then, of course, a couple other redistributions that will take place. I made the recommendation to have Ms. Zeman assume the title of Director of Student Services, with knowing that she would be encompassing both departments. and I recognize the board was maybe not comfortable with that and recommended that it was Director of Student Services and Special Education. And so in talking with Ms. Zeman, as well as the team, we kind of debated and kicked this around quite a bit. We relied on AI and research of other districts and what how they're handling these roles. And we did still arrive, our recommendation is the Director of Student Services, recognizing that the board may not be comfortable with that. We kicked around some other ideas, and I was just gonna have Ms. Zeman explain it, because I thought she did a good job explaining it to us today. So I was gonna have her maybe explain to you some options that we've discussed. So can you come to the podium, please? Thank you.
So as Dr. Selico had stated, we kind of were kicking around a bunch of different ideas to try to really consider what kind of encompasses all that this task or this job description would entail. So I know we had talked about Director of Student Services and Special Education, Director of Special Services came up, Director of Student Services. I was also Director of Student Support Services. Those were some of the things that we were kicking around. I think with Director of Student Services and Special Education, it's long. It's a really long title, and there really isn't any other directors in the area or really that I could find that have that title. So most people are Director of Student Services, and it incorporates or encompasses special education. I think when we have it as student services and special education, it sort of singles out groups of students. So I'm thinking like from a whole child perspective that it really kind of singles out gen ed versus special ed, and I just think that's something that we kind of don't want to highlight. Director of Special Services, I think this is okay, but I think that also can have the perception of a narrowed scope of students that we serve. So I think it's still kind of singling out. So I think when we're talking about a whole child perspective and we're really looking at the variety of tasks that will be incorporated in this department, that includes students with disabilities and special education service, but also would capture students who maybe are struggling with homelessness, social emotional needs, or the whole child, 504s. So it's not just students with disabilities. I think either Director of Student Services or Director of Student Support Services would be a more appropriate title.
We looked around, thank you, Ms. Zeman. We looked, well, people have been here with the history. As long as some people have been around, we haven't had a Director of Special Education until Ms. Zeman came, which is 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
3 years now. So we haven't had that role. I created that. And so it's people have been accustomed to it in the short past, not, a history of that. It's a sensitive issue. We're trying to be sensitive about it. And I think Ms. Zeman was explaining it and trying to be all-encompassing because she will be working with students with disabilities, not with disabilities, on 504 plans, that are medically fragile, that are just maybe feeling, bullying, harassment, any of those things that could potentially come up for any student. So I think that's where we sort of landed. It is, most common is student services in all the research that we've done.
I will say, I just had an example. I think actually Mr. Elder and I have had this happen to us like often, and we just had an example today. So he'll often get some emails from people with special education questions because it's so known in all of the other districts that it's Director of Student Services. So we are unique in the idea of a Director of Special Education. So I know Mr. Elder has forwarded emails on to me because they're actually special education related questions, and people assume sometimes that he's taking care of those things as well. So yeah, it's just another piece of the puzzle that I don't think people always understand, that he and I probably have had this interaction several times in the last 3 years, so.
So I understand Mr. Gomez's point that we don't want our families and communities to think that we are not prioritizing our special education students.
Absolutely.
And so I was okay with adding that to the title, but I didn't know, you know, it's your title and you do the work, so I think it should be the title that you recommend. And I think that we can deal with the community, I think we can try to deal with that with messaging.
I was just
making it
gonna
very
say, I think
clear
that would come down to
you are still gonna be there
messaging.
for our special education students, to support them with your team as you always have been. So I would support changing the title to Director of Student Services.
Did you recommend also, did you say Director of Student Support Services?
I said either one, yeah. Director of Student Services or Director of Student
I kind of
Support
like that.
Services.
It adds the word support in there to, maybe alleviate some of those things we'd be hearing from the community. Okay, that's all. I just want some clarification on that.
We weren't sure if it was important for the board to hear the word special in there, so that's why we're also kicking that around. But, yeah, we landed on that, I guess. That was the last minute, I think. Was that you throwing that one in there?
I did,
Christina?
yeah, that was the last.
I don't care for special services,
Yeah.
because like you said, I think it does narrow the scope, and you support our entire student body, not just special.
I'm fine with Director of Student Services.
I would support the Director of Student Support Services.
I would go with that, too.
I don't have anything to add.
So would I make a recommendation at this point?
You can't make a recommendation because it's not on the agenda. Someone can make a motion.
A motion. Someone needs to make a motion?
Oh, I move to change the title from Director of Student Services and Special Education to Director of Student Support Services.
A second.
Is there discussion on the motion?
Pardon me?
Is there discussion on the motion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so the next resolution then, it is recommended that the Board of Education approves the reassignment of Heather Zeman from the position of Director of Special Education to Director of Student Support Services effective August 1st, 2026. All other employment contract terms for Ms. Zeman remain unchanged.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Thank you. It is recommended the Board of Education approves the assignment of Holly Merkel for the position of Coordinator of Wellness and Success to Coordinator of Student Services effective August 1st, 2026. All the other employment terms, contract terms for Ms. Merkel remain unchanged.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Again, similarly as I described, Ms. Merkel's job is going, already has and will continue to encompass far more than student wellness and success, which is why we want to expand that to coordinator of student services. However, it probably should be student support services.
Oh, should it? How important is that?
No, her title doesn't necessarily need to change.
This, and our agenda says 2027.
It's been updated.
Oh, okay.
I handled that with Ms. Stoikely, the sidebar. And it'll be reflected in the minutes. But I think the issue was we wanted Ms. Zeman's title to reflect the broader scope of everything she does, but the people that report to her have more specific functions of this or that. So I don't have any issue with what Ms. Merkel's title is. Anyone else?
No.
Okay. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Your comments?
Thank you. Not much. I know we have a lot on the agenda and still more to come. So I believe our next board meeting is, I want to say August 5th. And then the one open position we do have is the Richardson principal. So interviewing will start on Friday, and we'll have a recommendation hopefully next week. I know we don't have a board meeting scheduled, so we'll have some discussion about what that would look like. And because the start date for administrators is July 27th. That's when they start back. So we'll have to figure out who that ends up being, and meaning whether internal, external candidates that may impact that. So we'll have a recommendation for that coming, and then by the time we meet again, our administrative retreat will have happened. That's August 3rd and 4th. We do a day and a half with the team, so we're still working on that agenda, and we'll share it once we have it complete. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item I, board business. Number one's a policy first read. And section C, general school administration, CCA, organizational chart. This is just changing to reflect the changes that we have approved. Number two is policy adoption. It's recommended the Board of Education adopts the following policies that were previously reviewed at the previous Board of Education meeting.
Read 'em.
No.
So moved. Wasn't sure if you're going to read them.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Number three is a resolution for the Ohio School Boards Association. It's recommended the Board of Education approves a resolution for the board members who would like to receive the recognition award from OSBA.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Thank you. Number four is discussion on rental rates. So follow-up. Now that we've had more time, I am good with everything. Others, comments, additional thoughts?
I was okay.
The rates, like the current rates, not the policy.
The proposed rates.
Okay. Yeah.
Ms. Zimmerman, I saw you sent some questions and comments. I didn't
That was
know.
about the Lambert Stadium rental thing.
That's what we're talking
Oh,
about.
that's what we are talking about?
Yeah.
No, that's it, yeah.
Okay. I thought it was a sheet of like renting classroom.
No, what I'm looking for from you all is a big nod of, yes, you like the direction we're going on this. This
Oh.
is kind of how we're going to land on Lambert, because I need to take that and do the same thing for all of our other rentals.
Okay, well, that makes more sense, yes. I did look at it in depth, and I sent an email to, it was like half an hour before this meeting, but I think we just need to do it. And I think it's gonna work. It might need some tweaks, but I think it's as good as it's gonna get.
I only briefly looked at your suggestions, but it looked like, but I thought you might have had a good one, right off the bat, which was potentially a separate document that is more concise to the fees, and then a longer document that is the more contractual language.
So, yes, what you prepared for us is the whole program. I look at that for internal use, like your whole policy and procedure as you move forward with it, I think it would be helpful to have separate, probably for each group. If I was going to rent this, I don't want to read 10 pages, I won't understand it. I'm in Group A, like maybe I reach out and you, like first thing you do is identify what group that person is, and you might have a handout or an information page for them. So they want to know what's the deposit, what's the cost, what's.
Digest page for each group type.
Yes, and like insurance, not the whole thing, but like you're gonna be required to insure maybe the rule. So this is just something we don't have to figure it out right now. I'm happy to brainstorm further with you on that. And then some of the things, if they do end up renting a facility, they're gonna have a contract that they sign, and they're gonna need to read all of that contractual language and agree to it, and probably should have a checklist where they initial. Now, you do know you need insurance. You did see that, you're responsible for this, so. That was my comment, not on the substance of the program, but just how to launch it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this topic? Okay. Brings us to item 5, future agenda items. Any future agenda items come before the board at this time?
No.
Okay. Committee reports, does anyone have any committee reports tonight?
No?
I can mention something from Alumni Association. They're doing a drive for the Black Tiger Family Center, where they're collecting children's socks and undergarments. So that's open to everyone. There are some posts and things about how to do it. You can bring it to the board office, or there's some drop-off locations. So that's what they're working on.
That brings us to comments. Mrs. Schaefer?
I don't have anything.
Ms. White?
I don't have any.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
No comments.
Mr. Harris?
No comments.
I was just gonna say, enjoy your school board summer. We'll be back in a month. Brings us to item J, executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1. It's hereby move the board adjourn to executive session to consider the employment and compensation of a public employee or official.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris? Aye. Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmerman?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye, we're in executive session at 8:02 PM. Be no action after except for adjournment.